Are we going? All right. Hey, good morning. Welcome to yet another episode of Redstone Lapis Lazuli. Let's see. Get back over here. Hi. Yes. Good morning. I just missed sunset. I just missed it. Damn it. Yeah, I wanted to catch the sunset to see how far the shadows. Oh yeah, they go all the way. Almost all the way. I might have to change it, tweak it a bit. But yeah, welcome. It looks like everything's going all right. I want them welcome to my show. I've got music in the background, so that's different, right? Is it going? Yeah. So, and it's like royalty free. I've worked it out with the company. Chill hop music. It's not like I worked it out. They had a deal that you sign up for it. And they're like, you can play our music if you like give us a shout out, like give us a link on your page or whatever. I'm like, okay. So there it is. Yeah. So this is my Java world. I've been working on it for a little bit. I like Java just because it feels like a more complete game. But the problem is you have to tweak it a lot in order to get it to do what you want. I had to spend hours working on this to get it to perform smoothly. Because yeah, now it's smooth. It's great, but it took work. It's not like it came out of the box like that. I'm gonna sleep real quick. Let me show you what I've been doing here in this game, in Minecraft. Let me show you my stuff. Oh, see what I mean? It just feels like, I don't know, it just feels like a nice game. Here, let's step out on the porch. And just drink coffee as the sun rises. Yeah, pretty good. Here, I'll eat more. So yeah, good morning to you. Good morning. You know what? It's not like the best mornings. If you have any sort of consciousness about the world, what's going on, yeah, there's a lot of bad stuff going on. It's not the best of mornings. But any morning that you can wake up to and greet the sun, or greet the morning, that's a good morning. You're still here. And that's cool. Thanks for hanging out with us. I was thinking about how we're just kind of visitors here. Oop, I turned down too far. There, midway. All right. Yeah, good morning. Okay. Let me show you what I'm working on. So this map here shows you, this is the peninsula on where I live. I live on a peninsula. I mean, it's not really, yeah, it's a peninsula because there's a river on that side. And then that's kind of like oceany, and then it goes into this bay here. And over there, that's the nether, the nether gate that I've just found. And over there is my correction station that is going to be used eventually. And then here we have my farms. That's the wheat farm, and that's the bamboo farm, the new bamboo farm, and that's the sugarcane farm, and that's the melon farm, and that's the cow crusher farm, which helps out a lot. That's Java exclusive. So let's go look. So yes, here's my wheat farm. It's a standard wheat farm, but this is the bamboo farm. And this is a design I got from Navy Nexus on Bedrock, but it still works. And look yeah, sure, it has lots of loss, right? Sure, okay, I'll give you that. It loses stuff, but it happens. It happens so often and so quick. It doesn't matter. I mean, that's just ridiculous. It just doesn't matter. So cool. I'm okay with losing some stuff as long as this thing there's no observers in it, so it helps with lag. Yeah, and then Here's my basic sugarcane farm. It's super basic. Like, and it's super slow too. But yeah, I mean, like, it's just your standard. There's water. That's a stair, and there's water in it. And then that's observer observing. And when it sees something, it powers this block, which powers this piston. And then mud. That's the key. Mud is in Bedrock or in Java is not a full block. So that means hoppers can pick up things through mud blocks, and you can plant things in mud blocks like this. So you can plant something in a block that a hopper can pick up in if you break it, without a hopper minecart. So that's fantastic. Normally you need a hopper minecart, so that's great. And then this is a basic melon farm. One of them is pumpkin, and the other one is melon. So there's just water to irrigate, and then again, mud where they can grow on, and it doesn't ruin the mud. And since mud isn't a full block, a hopper can pick it up. And yeah, I get my pumpkins and melons bit by bit. Over here, so is a cow crusher. Now, I used to have all my cows here in this pen, boxed up, but it was hard to feed them. And it was hard to feed them, and it caused a whole bunch of lag in my world because I can never count how many cows I have. I have to guess. I wouldn't know how many cows I actually have. But in Java, you can do something called a cow crusher. And I just funneled all the cows into this little tiny space with water. And the way Java works is that, it's easy to feed them, and the babies don't get in the way. So, and I feed all of them like efficiently. So, no problem. Everyone's fed and making babies. And I think, right? As long as I'm seeing like hearts, then I know I'm happy. Okay, but yeah, you can only have 24 entities in one area before they start to die. So there's 24 cows in there, but they made a bunch of babies. 24 cows made 12 babies. 12 babies are eventually going to grow up into 12 adult cows. When 12 adult cows join the 24 adults already there, that's too many adults in there. So the oldest adults get killed off by damage. They just start taking damage. Everybody starts taking damage, pretty basically. And the ones who've been there the longest have the least amount of health to live, so they die. So that's the cow crusher. And then what happens is the drops go in there. Yay! So I get meat and leather. So I don't have any other sources of like good food. I don't have a gold farm, so I have to like cook cows. And I don't have a what's it called? Oh, that's, I can do this, neat. I don't have a gold farm, so I can't, yeah. Basically, this is like the best source of food. Early game. Okay, so I've got that farm. I got that farm. I got that farm. I got that farm. I made this, I just made the bridge a little bit better. It's totally unnecessary, but like, it's just nice. So bit by bit, my house is coming together. I had to build this wall because before I had nothing here, and a zombie came into my house, just walked in. It was kind of silly because it was like a total oversight. And then I had it facing off this way, but then on that side, pillagers spawned, and they would literally swim across the lake or the river to hop on here and to attack me in my home. So I had to build like a proper wall here so they can't get in. So they can still shoot in if they ever decided to, but they don't. So it's okay. Oh man, I kind of did a lot. This goes nowhere. No, that's a plan. Yeah, I've done. Oh yeah, I got nether wart. Yay! I hope this is all moving smoothly. It should be moving like great on YouTube because I have like 9,000 bitrate. So I've been using up my lava to smelt stuff. I'm running low. I need to find dripstone so I can conserve lava because I'm running low. I'm running low. Yeah, and in either of these directions, in a long way, there's adventures to be had. In any one of these directions, I've been mining. Here, let me show you. So this is Y level like 16, I think. I was mining for iron, and just to mine. It's just I don't know. I needed blocks. I needed blocks. I want to make a creeper farm. Okay, yeah. So I was just mining, and I wanted to find blocks to make I need blocks to make a mob farm. Anyways, and I just found stuff, but I don't want to pick it up because I didn't have a pickaxe for it, a fortune pickaxe. And then I decided, hey, what if I would go down to Y level 40 something? No, 54. So down here at Y level 54, I found stuff already. So hey, nice. I have to come down here with a fortune 3 pickaxe to mine it all up. But yeah, already I found stuff. So it'll be okay once I actually get going here, and I already have stuff to mine out once I get my proper pickaxe. But there's all sorts of stuff going on, like you can hear there's skulk on the other side of this wall. Well, you can't hear it, the music. But yeah, there's skulk sensors. So there's like a cave in there that's all skulk, covered in skulk. And already I can see one right here. Like I can't even go over there because there's a skulk sensor around, and I don't know where it or like there's a shrieker somewhere up there. If I even go near it, it starts to flip out. Like I need wool is what I need, because they can't hear it when you do wool. Yeah, I don't want to go over there and die. That's my thing. Then I found this cave up here, but I haven't really checked it out. I mean, I haven't dug it out too much, because like I said, I need that lava pickaxe. So yeah, I really like the caves now. The cave system they have. Here's me mining. Okay, so there are huge aquifers, underground aquifers, and I used to try to build tunnels through them, but they were really hard, and plus it was a pain in the butt to remove all the water once you built the tunnel. So I just made this gate. But look how big this cave is, this underwater cave. Like if you go off into it, you'll get lost and die. I don't want to do that. What? I don't know why. Okay. Anyways, lots of great stuff. I really enjoyed this new world. Just because I on Java it just feels like it's better, even though I know technically the seeds are the same across both editions. It just feels like Java is the world is better. I don't know how to say it. I don't know. I want to see the sunrise again. I like how the sun has risen, but it's blocked by that hill over there. It has to rise over the hill, and you can see the sun like creeping across the wall. Nice. Okay. One more thing I want to show you, and then I'll come back and talk about stuff. Like, I realized I like to show off. Like, I want to play Minecraft with another person, so we can show off the things that we build to each other, and we found. Basically, like, I think that's what motivated me a lot to build stuff in Minecraft when I was playing with Captain Pones, is that even though he didn't know what the hell's going on, I still like to show off stuff that I built to him in the game. And I wanted him to build something too, so I could look at it and be like, ooh, 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 but he never did. So, remember, I live on a peninsula, and I'm coming off one of the ends of the peninsula here. To the mountain. A mountain, the huge mountain. And there's a cave, and you climb the cave, and you come to this point, and you see at the base of the cave is this gigantic wound. There's this ginormous cave at the hole at the base of the mountain. Sure, it's a giant mountain, but look at the bottom of it. There's this huge cave, and yeah, there's tons of monsters in it. They'll kill me. Like the water right next to the lava. Yeah, and there's no easy way of traversing that cave. Look at it. It's just, there's no way. If I walk down there, all the monsters get funneled down into me from both sides. Like, it's terrible. I'd have to, another monster right there. See? There's like no way to get across there. I'd have to build like a bridge over it, over the middle, so I would avoid the monsters coming down. It's just a huge rip in the mountain, in the base of the mountain. Yeah. So I thought that was pretty cool. I haven't explored it because it's super dangerous. Look how dangerous. I can't even get down there yet. I try to get down there. But even if I did, there's lava right there. So it makes sense to go around this thing. Like, I don't know. That's an adventure for another time. So I'm running this at 2B frames. I'm thinking, I don't know if that will help or what, but it will save my bandwidth. Those 4B frames take a lot of bandwidth, I guess. And I only have like 10K uploads, so it's not very much. But I don't want to pay the money to get 20K upload. It's a lot of money. I gotta spend like 150 bucks a month. All right. Oh wait, yeah, the mountain, right? Pretty cool mountain, huh? Wait, let me. Oh, what's that? Is that a torch at the very, very top of the mountain? That is a torch at the very top of the mountain. How did that torch get there? Oh, it must have been me. Yeah, I climbed the mountain. But you couldn't go that way. You can't go up the face of it. You have to go along the ridge, along that ridge. And then along the back side. And on the other side of this mountain ridge, there's a hidden grove. And it's pretty cool. It's right below the snow level. So it's like a biome of like niceness in the middle of the snow. And which is weird, right? I might have to make a train line up there along the ridge because that's the only way to go. It's a little bit late in the day. It's like at noon. If I wanted to go up the mountain, I have to wait till the morning. It's a long trip. I mean, I can bring a bed. It's not a big deal. But yeah, I think this Java is beautiful. The latest version of Minecraft Bedrock broke RTX. It didn't break it, but it got rid of all the colored lighting, so there's no more colored lighting in RTX. So I think Minecraft Bedrock is just not mature yet, so it's hard to build anything for it if it's constantly changing. Once they get it like nailed down, then it'll be good. Look how great that looks. My house is slowly coming together. You can see I want to build a level on top here. I'm trying to figure out how to do it. I might chop off all that dirt and make it a layer like their level, and then build on top of it and make it just tower. Yeah, I'll think about it. Yeah, so I climbed up there, went up that. This used to all be covered with trees. I chopped them all down. I just chopped all the trees down. I needed wood. I need wood. So where do you think that wood came from? From trees that I chopped down off this entire side of the mountain. And I'm working my way up there, and that's a flat area. So if I wanted to build something up there, I could, because it's flat. And then, yeah, I chopped the trees down on this side, which is why there's no trees there anymore. And then these acacia trees, I planted those. And then eventually, when I find a saddle, I will come over here and get a horse. And check out the plains, because that's what it's really about. I don't want to travel on foot. It's annoying. But on a horse, yeah, I'd explore all that area. Okay, in my house. Oh wait, I wanted to watch the sunset real quick. I want to see if the shadow reaches from there to over here. Yeah, it's starting to. So the shadows from up there are being cast over across to probably over there. That's pretty cool. It doesn't quite make it. Oh yeah, it does. It's making it. Yeah, if I change the settings a little bit, options. Ooh. It might kill my frame rate. It kind of kills my frame rate. But then it looks really good. Then the sunset looks really good. That's the way it should be. But, oh, it kills my frame rates. Yeah, oh my god, it's like, yeah. Okay, yeah, that kills my frame rates. You see what I mean? Okay, 12. Yeah, because it runs a lot better. But you see, right there's the border, like the chunk border. That's why 12 is not enough. I need to go like a little bit more. Anyway. Alright, enough of the Minecraft, right? How long have I been talking about Minecraft? Too long! What's been going on, guys? What's been going on? There's been a whole lot going on. I got like a ton of video clips from a guy named Aaron Rupert, who like, he's great. Where did he go? Did I save him somewhere? He's great. He made all these clips. So, as you know, the Proud Boys are the right wing. They want to say that they're always being censored by big tech, and they're always, and the right wing is always talking about free speech, but they only talk about free speech because they want to use it against you. The moment they actually get power, free speech goes out the window, and it's only the exercise of power from then on out. That's how fascists work. If you want to see an example, look at Elon Musk. Elon Musk purports to be a free speech absolutist, but he basically lets on all the Nazis back into Twitter and kicks off all the left-wing voices. He's not about free speech, he's about power. It's about power. That's a common tactic by the Nazis, is to appeal to the liberal value of free speech in order to gain power. Once they use that liberal value of free speech to spread their right-wing hate speech. But if you try to counter their right-wing hate speech, they shout you down with saying censorship. But as soon as they get power, they take away your ability to criticize their ideas, because they don't actually care about free speech. They care about obtaining power, and they use speech to obtain power. So we can see how free speech is abused by fascists. In 2016, the Russians used social media to attack the American electorate, to elect Donald Trump, get Donald Trump elected. As a response to the way that they were manipulated, Twitter was manipulated by Russian hackers and bots. So in response to that manipulation, the Russian government, or the Twitter, made a bunch of policy changes in order to combat disinformation, so that they would not be abused, they would not be used like that again by the Russian government. However, and Twitter became a really important tool during the Donald Trump presidency, because the press used Twitter to spread information quickly. Furthermore, Twitter was used to plan and to gather more people for the 2021 insurrection attempt by Donald Trump and the right wing, when they tried to overthrow democracy, to hold on to power, even though they lost the election. Because they don't actually care about democracy or free speech, they only care about power. So Twitter implemented all these rules in order to like not be abused and stuff. So Twitter, you know, has tried to make changes to become a better entity. They've tried to do, I mean, they weren't the best at it. They still did stupid stuff. But at least they're trying to do, and they were useful because they did serve as a platform for marginalized voices to speak to power. Okay, what happened? But the thing is that infuriated the right wing. So they tried to make their own version of social media but where they would have more power, that they could say hateful stuff and spread their hateful ideology without actually, you know, without getting like squelched for being hateful, for being Nazis. But so they tried Parler, they tried Truth Social, they tried Gab, they tried all sorts of like other companies, which, you know, sure, it attracted the Nazis, but that's it. They're all failures. They're all failures of social media. They all lose money. None of them make any kind of money. Even Twitter was having a hard time making money before Elon Musk came along. So all those attempts at making a right-wing social media site failed. So along comes Elon Musk. He's like, I want to make a social media site where right-wingers, like, basically he destroyed Twitter. Twitter was like created, like developed a long time ago by African American, by black programmers, in order to like, yeah, to facilitate communication. And for good or for ill, Twitter has been like center of that. And I think Elon Musk wanted to get rid of that power, because, you know, that gives power, that takes away power from oligarchs and gives it to the people. If marginalized people can communicate and challenge power, then yeah, that's a threat to power. And Elon Musk is all about power. So so Elon Musk and the right wing want to destroy Twitter and stop that voice, that voice of the marginalized people from annoying them. So Elon Musk buys Twitter and gives access to Twitter's internal files to a select group of journalists that he knows will tell the story that he wants them to tell. Which is that, like, the story that Elon Musk wants the journalists to tell is a story about how Twitter uses its censorship to squelch the voices of conservatives in favor of the government, well, in favor of the left wing. That's the story that Elon Musk wants to tell, because that's the conspiracy that's the conspiracy theory that the right wing tells itself in order to justify. Like, it tells itself that it's being squelched, even though it's not. It doesn't have any proof. But the right wing never needs proof. So Elon Musk buys Twitter and then gives access to Twitter internal files to certain journalists he knows will tell the story that he wants them to tell, which is that Twitter was used by the government to squelch conservatives. And yeah, they try to tell the story by cherry picking certain documents and stuff, but what you find out is that what Twitter did when the right wing says Twitter takes down right wing content with the Hunter Biden thing, what they mean is that is that Twitter took down dick pics of Hunter Biden dick pics because revenge porn is illegal. And the conservatives are really, really angry that revenge porn against their enemies is illegal. I mean, revenge porn against everybody is illegal, but the right wing wants revenge porn against their enemies to be legal because they don't actually care about principles, they only care about power. So Matt Taibbi gets these internal Twitter files and writes this huge story about how the government censored, or how Twitter took down dick pics, Hunter Biden dick pics, and wants to say that, oh, this is proof that the government conspired with Twitter to hide right-wing content. No, dude, no. It's the government, it's Twitter following the law about taking down revenge porn. But it doesn't fit your narrative, so you don't want to talk about it. But the Republicans won't be deterred. They want to keep going. Republicans want to weaponize government against their enemies. That's what Republicans do. That's what fascists do. Donald Trump did the same thing. He weaponized the Department of Justice against his enemies. That's what Bill Barr was about. Like, the people who investigated Donald Trump for his collusion, his conspiracy with Russia, those are Donald Trump's enemies. So when Donald Trump got into power, he used Bill Barr, his lackey, to go after his enemies with the Durham report and with everything else. That's why Bill Barr's a dirty bastard who's a traitor that should be investigated. Because he helped Donald Trump weaponize the government. So now that the Republicans have taken control of the House, they're weaponizing government again. They're investigating the investigators. And but they also want to bring to heel big tech. And they want to push their conspiracy theory that big tech is purposely squelching the free speech of conservatives, and they targeted Twitter. So they made this huge government hearings about Twitter in order to expose Twitter for their nefarious whatever doings. Well, what ended up happening was, that's what sunlight does. It's the best disinfectant. They ended up disproving all of their own theories. Here, let me give you an example. So,
Navaroli, let's talk about something real. I'd like to show you a tweet posted by former President Trump about my colleagues and I on July 14th, 2019. It says in part, quote, "Why don't they go back and help fix the totally broken and crime-infested places from which they came? Then come back and show us how it's done. These places need your help badly. You can't leave fast enough. I'm sure that Nancy Pelosi would be very happy as quickly to work out free travel arrangements." A day or two after that, Donald Trump publicly incited, violence at a rally, targeting 4 congresswomen, including myself, saying, "Go back to where you came from." Ms. Navaroli, as I understand it, you were the most senior member of Twitter's content moderation team, or a senior member of Twitter's content moderation team when this was posted. As part of your responsibilities, did you review this tweet?
Yes, it was my team's responsibility to review these tweets.
And what did you conclude?
My team made the recommendation that for the first time, we find Donald Trump in violation of Twitter's policies and use the public interest interstitial.
For the first time?
Yes.
First time.
And at the time, Twitter's policy included a specific example when it came to banned abuse against immigrants, as they specifically included the phrase, "Go back to your country," or go back to where you came from, correct?
Yes, that was specifically included in the content moderation guidance as an example.
You brought this up to the Vice President of Trust and Safety, Del Harvey, correct?
I did, yes.
And she overrode your assessment, didn't she?
Yes, she did.
And something interesting happened after she overrode your assessment. A day or two later, Twitter seemed to have changed their policies, didn't they?
Yes, that trope, "go back to where you came from," was removed from the content moderation guidance as an example.
So Twitter changed their own policy after the president violated it in order to potentially accommodate his
President
tweet?
Trump.
Yes.
Thank you. So much for bias against right wing on Twitter.
Is it dying? All right. So what that is Twitter never removed a tweet until Donald Trump used Twitter to threaten the squad, basically. The Congress people, the progressive Congress people that Donald Trump doesn't like. Donald Trump used Twitter to incite hate towards Congress people, AOC and Ilhan Omar, or Omar Ilhan. No, Ilhan Omar, and yeah, and they removed the tweet, and then the boss, her boss, came down and said, no, you cannot remove that tweet by Donald Trump. In fact, instead of us removing the tweet by Donald Trump as per our policy, Twitter is going to change its policy to accommodate right-wing speech. So that's the opposite. That's the opposite of what they said. Right wings have been saying that Twitter has been taking down right wing content all the time. Not true. The only time they tried to remove a tweet by Donald Trump was when he used it to incite violence, and then Twitter changed its policy to accommodate government. So to help government. To help the right-wing government, Twitter changed its policy to keep right-wing content. The exact opposite of what the right-wing have been saying. They say it's that conservatives have been being banned, but no, this is Twitter bending backwards to help conservatives, changing its own policy.
Ms. Navaroli, are you familiar with the account Libs of TikTok?
I have heard of it from the news, yes.
Mr. Roth, are you familiar with this account?
Yes, ma'am, I am.
Are you aware that from August 11th to August 16th, that account posted false information about Boston Children's Hospital, claiming that they were providing hysterectomies to children?
Yes, I am aware of that and other claims from the account.
And are you aware that this lie was then circulated by other prominent far-right influencers?
Yes.
And are you aware that all these claims, which I have reiterated were false, culminated in a real-life harassment and ultimately a bomb threat to the Boston Children's Hospital?
Yes, I am aware.
And this account is still on that platform today, isn't it?
Regrettably, yes, it is.
Despite inspiring a bomb threat due to the right-wing incitement of violence against trans Americans in this country, because they cannot let go of this obsession with fixating violence and inciting violence against trans and LGBT people, in addition to immigrants, in addition to women of color. This is a party that cannot pick on anyone their own size. And they are trying to co-opt an entire social media platform and use the power of this committee and of Congress in order to pursue a political agenda. I yield back.
Yep. So there's this right winger named Libs of TikTok. Her name, she's on TikTok, but she goes around looking for content for left-wing content that she doesn't like, and makes fun of it. She's pretty much anti-trans. She's an anti-trans activist on TikTok and on Twitter. So she uses Twitter to target trans people, and she used disinformation to target specifically Boston's Children's Hospital. She made up a bunch of lies about Boston's Children's Hospital, and it's called stochastic terrorism. She didn't outright tell her followers to attack the hospital, but she dumped enough hate on them with a nudge, wink, and it's disinformation. It wasn't actual real stuff. It was disinformation. She dumped enough disinformation that she's statistically probable that a terrorist activity would befall Boston's Children's Hospital, which it did. People, like right-wing crazy people, started phoning in bomb threats and closed down the Children's Hospital because they believed the right-wing lies spread by Libs of TikTok. And Libs of TikTok is still on Twitter. So Libs of TikTok is an account that uses Twitter to incite terrorist, sarcastic terrorist campaigns against Boston Children's Hospital, and they're still there. So clearly, Twitter is not biased against right-wing people, because right-wing people use Twitter all the time for terrorist activities. Donald Trump used it to organize the January 6th insurrection. Libs of TikTok uses Twitter to organize stochastic terrorism against her targets, and they're still both on Twitter. So it's not that Twitter has been blocking right-wing voices. In fact, it's just the opposite. Right-wing voices have been abusing Twitter for their own ends, and now that Elon Musk has purchased, Twitter, they're able to squelch the voices they don't like, and they're using government to help them squelch voices they don't like, which is why the Republicans had this hearing to begin with.
I'd like to raise and follow up on a point that the opposition and the other side of the aisle is making, which is trying to insinuate that there is something scandalous or unusual about federal agency outreach to social media platforms and other organizations such as Twitter. The insinuation here is that in the FBI and other agencies reaching out to Twitter, that there's something nefarious about this, that this was some sort of partisan weaponization or attempt to intimidate. But we actually have quite a documented history of representatives from the Trump administration hailing the progress that the government had made in working with companies like Twitter to counter foreign influence operations and other areas of concern. In early March 2020, right before the Super Tuesday primary election, several Trump administration officials, including Mike Pompeo, Bill Barr, Chad Wolf, and acting director of national intelligence Richard Grenell, issued a statement praising the government's cooperation with the private sector to fend off foreign interference, and said that relationship was, quote, stronger than it's ever been. This was around this whole time where there's this grievance around this. And listen to what DHS Secretary Chad Wolf had to say just weeks before the 2020 presidential election. We now have direct lines of communication with tech and social media companies and election officials so that both parties can seamlessly take action against false information spreading online. I would argue that this information from the Trump administration would say that they would support your decision in temporarily suspending this disinformation that seemed to be coming out from the New York Post. So with that, I yield back to the chair.
So during the Trump administration, they were saying how great it was that how well the tech industry had worked with the administration to remove disinformation. So this hearing is about like a New York Post story. In this New York Post story, in this New York Post story, it was the Hunter Biden disinformation. So basically, Hunter Biden dropped off a laptop to be repaired and then never picked it up. And then later on, months later, Rudy Giuliani showed up with a hard drive that he got from a Russian oligarch. And then Rudy Giuliani said, oh, this hard drive that I got from a Russian oligarch actually came from Hunter Biden's laptop that's sitting at the repair shop. So they're not the same. Rudy Giuliani got a laptop filled with disinformation from a Russian oligarch and tried to pass it off as the same hard drive as the one that's in the laptop. So it's a fake story. It's a fake story. The whole thing is a fake story. It's not a real story. So Twitter, but the New York Post is a right-wing rag. It doesn't really care about truth, only power. And since the Hunter Biden narrative would help their narrative, they ran the story. But Twitter's like, no, this is disinformation. This isn't a real story. It's a Russian oligarch. So we are going to block the story from coming out. And so Twitter blocked it. And that made conservatives really, really angry because Republicans were going to use the Hunter Biden story to campaign off of it. They were going to use the Hunter Biden story to create a huge narrative to say that that the Bidens can't be trusted. You know, the same thing that they did to Hillary Clinton. They use the power of insinuation. They don't actually have proof. They have nothing they can actually point to. All they can do is insinuation and character assassination, which they do. They intimidate, insinuate, and character assassinate. That's all they do, because they don't have actual proof. They have nothing.
I want to say, as a former history teacher, I care a lot about the facts and the details, so let's dive in. On December 4th, then Ranking Member Comer appeared on Fox News and alleged that what Elon Musk's Twitter files showed was, quote, evidence that the Biden campaign colluded with big tech to suppress a story that we now know is 100% true, unquote. That is simply not true. It is not true based on what we knew then. It is not true based on what we know now. Mr. Roth.
So, to repeat, a senator or a congressperson went on Fox News and said that the Hunter Biden story is 100% true, when it is 100% false. The Hunter Biden story is 100% false, but this GOP representative went on a news station and lied and said it was 100% true, even though he was wrong. And Twitter took down this story because it was 100% false.
In a declaration to the FEC in December 2020, you stated, quote, I did not receive any communications from or have had any communications with representatives of Biden for President, the Democratic National Committee, or any of their agents regarding the New York Post articles before Twitter implemented the enforcement actions on October 14th, 2020, unquote. Mr. Roth, do you stand by that statement?
Yes, absolutely.
It's also worth...
Okay. So that means he's saying that Twitter never talked to the Biden administration or anybody from the government before it took down the New York Post story. So it's not, so you can't say that it was government interference at Twitter that did it. That's what Elon Musk wants to say, that Twitter is censoring on behalf of Democrats, the Hunter Biden story. But that's not true. Twitter chose by itself to take down the Hunter Biden Post story, because it was a fake story. It wasn't a real story. And they already got burned by the 2016 election. They already got used by bad actors to spread disinformation, and they stole an election. So Twitter does not want that to happen again, which is why they killed that story. They wouldn't let this bad story spread on their network, because it's a bad story. And now they're reaffirming that it wasn't Biden. The Biden team didn't ask them to take it down. No, nobody from Biden told them to take it down. It was on their own behalf.
Noting that your colleague, I believe, Lauren Culbertson, told the FEC the same thing. Ms. Gaddy, did anyone from the Biden campaign or the Democratic National Committee direct Twitter to remove or take action against the New York Post story? No.
No government
Mr.
action.
Baker, same question to you, please.
The government never asked them to do it. Twitter did it on its own.
So, the evidence is clear. Neither the Biden campaign nor the DNC had anything to do with Twitter's decision-making about the New York Post story. My Republican colleagues are using what are otherwise innocuous emails to suggest that there was somehow collusion between Twitter and the
All they
Biden
have is an insinuation. They can't actually prove anything. All they have is insinuation. They can't prove anything. Ooh, look at that skulk.
Thank you. So I believe that what's happening here is my Republican colleagues know that the premise of this whole hearing is misleading. There is no evidence that the Biden campaign had anything to do with the Hunter Biden New York Post story. And the evidence we do have simply shows that the Biden campaign did what the Trump campaign and millions of Twitter users do routinely: flag content and ask Twitter to conduct its own review to determine whether it violates Twitter's own rules and policies. I yield back.
Oh, shit. Oh, fuck. There's nowhere to go, dude. You can't spawn here. I don't know what's happening. I'm running away. Forget that. All right. The next one.
Mr. Chairman, it's clear that conservative voices are being silenced on social media in the mainstream. I appreciate this hearing. I might also suggest we look into holding one on DirecTV, Newsmax, and OAN.
So that's a right-wing guy. He just repeated the lie, right? The lie, remember, right-wingers want to say that social media is squelching right-wing voices. That's what they want to say. So he repeated, like, all the evidence, right? All the witnesses say, no, government didn't ever tell Twitter to do this, never, never. What did he say? The exact opposite. He said the exact opposite. Why? Because the narrative that the right wing wants to push is that big tech is siding with government, so that government has to crush big tech. That's the argument they want to run with, but they have no proof. They only have insinuation. And when you show them that they have no proof, they keep running with it because they know that conservative people, like regular people, aren't going to listen to this hearing. They're not going to listen to this thing, so they're not going to know that Twitter isn't working with the government, but they'll watch Fox News, and Fox News will only show this guy. So if you only hear this guy and hear from him that says, oh yeah, all the evidence, all this stuff shows that clearly Twitter worked with the government. He lied, but if you never hear the other side, you would never, ever know. See, listen again. He's so brazen about it. Listen.
Mr. Chairman, it's clear that conservative voices are being silenced on social media.
No, it's not. No, it's not clear. It's not clear that conservative voices are being silenced from social media. In fact, it's just the opposite. Didn't you just hear them say that Twitter bent over backwards and changed its own policy to accommodate Donald Trump? There's a right-winger on there right now using Twitter to insinuate or to instigate violence against trans people, who's still on there because Twitter does not squelch right-wing voices. Not at all. Total fabrication. Total lie. It does not do it. The Hunter Biden story was not squelched on behalf of liberals. It was squelched because it was a bad story. It was a fake story. This guy has nothing, but all he'll do is insinuate because he has no proof, and then Fox News will play just his clip. Now, but he gives away the game here. See, because there's another DirecTV decided there's this other station called like what is it called? Well, there's this other right-wing station that is going to be dropped by DirecTV because it doesn't make any money and it just spreads nonsense. It's a bunch of conspiracy theories. But but it's a platform for right-wing people to spread their stuff. So since a private company is dropping their right-wing station, this right-wing government guy wants to use the power of government to investigate DirecTV as to why it's dropping a conservative station. It wants to intimidate DirecTV into carrying right-wing content. He's doing the thing he accuses the Democrats of doing. So not only is he lying about stuff that's going on, he's projecting it. Republicans are trying to use the power of government to force media companies into saying what they want. And they're accusing Democrats of doing that. so that you don't have time to look at the Republicans doing it because you're trying to defend against the accusation levied against the wrong people. But it's the Republicans doing it. He tells you right here that he wants to use the power of government to investigate a company because the company stopped carrying right-wing media.
In the mainstream. I appreciate this hearing.
Watch.
I might also suggest we look into holding one on DirecTV, Newsmax, and OAN. I give the rest of my time to Mr. Jordan.
I think that
So he wants to do hearings on DirecTV because DirecTV isn't carrying right-wing stations like One American News Network and the other stuff. He said a bunch of right-wing stations. So he wants to use the power of government. So he's doing the thing that he accuses the Democrats of doing.
It's appropriate for the President of the United States to direct or otherwise influence a social media company to take down its content?
I think it's a very slippery slope.
Mr. Roth, Ms. Gaddy, Mr. Baker, any evidence that Joe Biden's ever done that?
Certainly none that I'm aware of, no.
I don't recall anything like that.
I'm sorry, that President Biden did what, sir?
Has Joe Biden ever called Twitter, to your knowledge, or his White House at his behest to take down content or urge you to take down content?
I don't know the answer to that question, sir.
Well, I'm going to have to conclude, at least from 3 of the 4, you don't know. There's no evidence he's ever done that, but there's plenty of evidence Donald J. Trump tried to do that. And if we're going to have a hearing about the misuse of social media and the intrusion of government in the content on social media, we've got an environment-rich target, but it's not Joe Biden. It's Donald J. Trump, and of course, we don't want to talk about that. We don't want to talk about Russian bots and Russian fabrications using fake accounts on Twitter to a political purpose, and it's not to help elect Democrats. And we don't want to talk about 4 years of Donald Trump manipulating the truth and trying to manipulate social media and threaten it, or directly to try to shape it by taking down content because it was critical of him personally. And that's what we ought to be talking about as we move forward, not the subject of today's hearing. I yield back.
Gentleman yields.
Yeah, so Joe Biden never called the White House or the Twitter to take down content. But Donald Trump did. Donald Trump did it.
St. Louis and I are here today to talk about the crisis posed by the power of private companies that operate social media platforms. Republicans are holding this hearing because of their ridiculous, politically motivated obsession with Hunter Biden. This is a distraction from their inability, again, to govern, and it hides the shared concerns raised by Republicans and Democrats alike about the vast power, impunity, and lack of accountability of social media platforms. There are so many examples of these companies responding inadequately or inappropriately in crisis that we have come to understand misconduct as the norm for social media giants and not an aberration. Social media played a key role in fanning the flames of violence on January 6th, on that attack on our U.S. Capitol. The impact has spread all over the world. Last fall, after Reuters reported that disinformation about Chile's proposed constitutional referendum was traveling 3 times faster on social media platforms than facts, several members of this committee wrote to Meta, Twitter, and TikTok, demanding further action to reduce the dissemination, reduce the lies, reduce the hate. They did nothing.
Yep, they did nothing. So yeah, there's a problem with social media companies being used to spread hate. So yeah, there's an issue. We should probably take care of that stuff. Probably create a framework and not leave it up to the private sector to figure it out for themselves. We should think about how information is being used and weaponized. But Republicans aren't interested in that. They're interested in pushing their agenda. That's what Republicans want. So they're not here to talk about the weaponization of information and social media. They want to further the weaponization and social media against their enemies. That's the problem. We don't have Republicans can't actually govern. All they're interested in is power, not governance. They don't care about governing. They only care about power.
Chair, MAGA Republicans can't let go. That should be the name of this hearing. I'm glad that seemingly we have now accepted that President Joe Biden won the election, even though now we are blaming President Trump's loss on Twitter. Can we finally let it go? This is why Democrats are reinforcing that in this hearing, we should be talking about the threats to our democracy. That's the real threat, not an old article that seemingly couldn't reach the viewership it sought through its own platform to disparage and attempt to skew the election in favor of a twice impeached former president who lost a secure and fair election.
Yep. They're whining because Republicans held that hearing in order to figure out why Twitter blocked the New York Post story about Hunter Biden. They had this whole thing that they were going to use Hunter Biden to the same way that they used the emails, Hillary's emails, to destroy Hillary Clinton. They want to use Hunter Biden to destroy Joe Biden. Because all they care about is power. They don't actually care about truth, governance, nothing. All they care about is power. Remember how I told you Donald Trump wanted to remove a tweet? What tweet was that? It was a tweet by Chrissy Teigen.
Ms. Naravoli, earlier you testified about a 2019 tweet that was about President Trump. And I think it was from Ms. Teigen. What was the tweet about?
Would you like me to give the direct quote?
Yeah.
Please excuse my language. This is a direct quote, but Chrissy Teigen referred to Donald Trump as a pussy-ass bitch.
Okay. Free speech. And what happened after Ms. Teigen posted her tweet? What did the White House do? What did the Trump White House do?
From my understanding, the White House reached out to ask that this tweet be removed. It was my team's job. This fell underneath the policy for abusive behaviors, and we evaluated underneath our insults policy. At that time, up to 3 insults were allowed, and so it was our job to determine how many insults were included within that phrase.
So the Trump White House reached out, not an agency, but the White House reached out and requested that you remove the tweet?
From my understanding, yes.
Okay.
So it was the Trump White House that tried to get stuff removed from Twitter, not the Biden White House, not Biden. Biden didn't try to get stuff removed from Twitter. It was Trump. Because remember, Republicans are all about control. They don't actually care about free speech. It was Chrissy Teigen's free speech to call Trump a pussy-ass bitch. It was her free speech. And it fell within, pussy ass bitch. That's exactly 3. That's part of their deal. That's allowable. 3 insults. Pussy ass bitch. And Donald Trump used his power as president to try and get that company to remove that tweet. So Donald Trump and Republicans don't actually care about free speech. They only care about power. They only use free speech as a weapon to get more power. Then they will take away your free speech because they never cared about it to begin with.
Why are folks on this committee so obsessed with Twitter's editorial decision on Hunter Biden's laptop? Would they hold the same hearings of the editorial decisions of Fox News and Newsmax? Free speech is about the government limiting speech around about the public. My governor, Ron DeSantis, is doing that right now. I have a venue in my district that he's revoking the liquor license of, trying to close because they had a drag show. We have teachers who are not able to teach the curriculum that they want because they disagree with Ron DeSantis and his view of the world. That is limiting free speech. And I'd love to see this committee bring in some of these governors who are abusing their power, like Governor DeSantis in my state of Florida, to limit the free speech of people. I yield back.
Yes. Remember, now the right-wingers are going after, remember, Nazis go after the most marginalized people because marginalized people are weak. And if you can, the Nazis think that if they can dehumanize the weakest people, then it's like a boiling a frog. Once it's acceptable to dehumanize the weakest people, then you creep up and you dehumanize the next weakest people, and then you dehumanize the next weakest people. You know, you just slowly creep your way up by dehumanizing people. And you and so that's what they're doing with trans people. Trans and that's the thing. Drag queens are not trans. They're not even gay necessarily. They're just drag queens. They're just dancing around like in like a costume. Like, why is this such a big deal? Why is it such a big deal? Because for Republicans, for conservatives, they have to have complete control over everything, and they can't allow people to dance around in costumes they don't approve of. So in Florida, Ron DeSantis, the Nazi governor, is using the power of the state to attack a private business for its free speech. Because Republicans don't actually care about free speech, they care about power, and they will use power to make sure that the speech that you use is comfortable with them. If they don't like your speech, they will use the power of government to get rid of it, to stop it. I mean, that's what they do.
So what is the so-called authentication for this laptop?
Oh wait, hold on. One.
Thank you, Mr. Gomez. Let's talk about the so-called Twitter files, which my Republican colleagues seem to think are God's gift to journalism. In one about the Hunter Biden laptop, the author says that every single fact in the New York Post story was accurate. And Chairman Comer, I notice you blew up the cover of that New York Post story, which I appreciate you doing that because I'd like to dig into this article. The very first paragraph says Hunter Biden introduced his father to a top executive at a Ukrainian energy firm less than a year before the elder Biden pressured government officials in Ukraine into firing a prosecutor who was investigating the company. That is false. 100% false.
Is the gentleman sure about that?
Yes, in fact, I am sure about that. And as the lead counsel in the first impeachment investigation, we proved that he was actually fired because he was not prosecuting corruption, not that he was fired because he was prosecuting corruption.
Corruption of the president's son's company. I'm sorry, would the gentleman yield corruption of the president's son's company?
I'd like to reclaim my time.
Gentleman's recognized.
See, the chair is trying to spread a bunch of BS. Republicans trying to spread the Hunter Biden lies. And over and over and over again, he's trying to spread the Hunter Biden lies.
The fact that Joe Biden fired, consistent with U.S. policy and every single European country, the prosecutor general in Ukraine because he did not prosecute corruption, including at companies like Burisma, has been proven over and over and over. And if you want to know who actually prosecuted Burisma, Chairman Comer, you should talk to the British authorities, because they were the ones who were prosecuting Burisma, and they couldn't get any cooperation from the Ukrainian prosecutor general. So that's why he was fired. So right off the top, the very first paragraph of this so-called bombshell story is completely false. Now,
okay, let's go over the whole, like, before they go, you know, they referenced Burisma. Let's go over the whole history of Burisma, or not the whole history, but let's go over that. Let's review that, right? It's important that we review the timeline here, because if you don't know the timeline, then it's really easy to get confused. Okay, so here's the timeline. Here's 2010, 2011, 2012, 13, 14, 15, 16. So here's, this side is, oh, wait a minute, you can't see the cursor. Okay, so this side is like 2009, and over here is the present. This is the past, this is the present. So in the past, in 2010, so Ukraine broke away from Russia. But Russia, the Russian oligarchs, wanted to retake Ukraine, wanted to corrupt Ukraine and bring it back into the Russian fold. Putin has been very obvious, very open about wanting to bring Ukraine back into control of Russia. So they tried by using corruption. So the first guy, the president was this dude named Yanukovych. He was a Russian puppet. He worked with Paul Manafort to attack the pro-democracy candidate, which was a woman, and that's where they started up the phrase "lock her up." They used it first against this pro-democracy female candidate running for Ukrainian president, and she lost, and this Russian puppet won, and they locked her up. They locked up this woman, and then Yanukovych, because he's a Russian puppet, he started to corrupt Ukraine, and started to steer Ukraine back into Russia. Well, the people flipped out. They didn't want any of that. So they revolted. They had a revolution. And they protested for 3 months in the wintertime. So this is that 3-month period that they protested against this guy, who's trying to, this Russian dude, the Yanukovych, who's trying to steer Ukraine back into Russia. And eventually, at the end, after 3 months, he flees the country. He leaves. Okay, but before I go that far, right? Before that, right? In 2012, there's this owner, the guy who owns Burisma, is named Mykola Zolochevsky. So this is the owner of Burisma, Mykolai Zolochevsky. So in 2012, the Ukrainian prosecutor general started to investigate Burisma and this guy Zolochevsky. He started to investigate, right? And then because this guy was embezzling money. He takes money from the Ukrainian government and then he steals it. He just steals it for his own stuff. He was being investigated over allegations of money laundering, tax evasion, and corruption in 2012. Okay. Then Joe Biden had been made the point man on Ukraine after February 2014. When pro-Russian President Viktor Yanukovych was ousted and fled. So basically, under the rule of this guy here, Yanukovych, Ukraine is corrupt, and he's steering it back into Russia. This Ukrainian oligarch, he's also a corrupt guy. So he and Yanukovych are working together to steal money from Ukraine and funnel it into oligarch's bank account. That's what they're doing. But now the people are revolting against this guy, and he flees. He runs away. Then Joe Biden is sent to Ukraine to figure out what's going on, because in America we don't know what's happening. We're like, well, what's happening? We got to send somebody we trust to see what's going on. So Joe Biden goes to see what's going on. All right. In the meantime, in early November 2014. Deutsche Bank, wait, hold on, before I say that. In April 2014, the Serious Fraud Office of the United Kingdom, this is the UK, is investigating, right? They're investigating $23 million belonging to companies controlled by this guy here, Zolochevsky. So the UK is looking at this guy going, say, hey, we think this guy is dirty. They're investigating him. At the same time that this guy is being investigated, he introduces Hunter Biden. He names Hunter Biden onto the board of Burisma. So wait a minute. This guy was being investigated all the way back in 2012. and then in 2014, the UK is like, yeah, this guy's been embezzling money. He's been stealing stuff. At the same time that the UK comes out and says, yeah, this Zolochevsky guy has been stealing stuff. At the same time, Zolochevsky meets Hunter Biden and says, hey, Hunter Biden, do you want to be the head of a company? Or do you want to be part of the board of this company? You don't have to know anything. You don't have to, we just pay you money and you can stay in the United States. All you got to do is phone in and we'll send you money. And Hunter Biden, being a dumbass, because I don't know, he was just being dumb. He doesn't know what's going on. He's like, sure, I'll join your company, your board, sure. He is not involved in Hunter Biden is not involved in the corruption from Zolochevsky. Zolochevsky was doing this corruption for years ahead of time. In 2010 to 2012, he was being investigated. In 2014, the UK noticed that he was stealing stuff. So Zolochevsky is being investigated by all these people. He's in trouble. So he needs to get a fall guy. He needs to get a patsy, someone to take the fall for all the bad stuff he's been doing. He finds this dumb American named Hunter Biden and says, hey, Hunter Biden, why don't you hold this bag for me? Just hold this bag and I'll be right back. Just hold the bag. All right. You're holding the bag, Hunter Biden? Okay, all right. I'll be right back. See ya. Boom. All right. And then check this out. So Zolochevsky makes Hunter Biden board of directors as Burisma starts to become under investigation. And then in 2014, Zolochevsky flees. See right here. In April 2014, the Serious Fraud Office of the United Kingdom froze approximately 23 million belonging to companies controlled by Zolochevsky. At the end of 2014, Zolochevsky fled Ukraine. So Zolochevsky was using Burisma to defraud the country of Ukraine with the help of this guy, Russian puppet Yanukovych. So the people rebel and they kick out Yanukovych. Then Zolochevsky starts coming under all this heat from all these investigations. So he hands the bag to Hunter Biden and then he flees the country. Right after he puts Hunter Biden on the board of directors, he flees the country. So Joe Biden doesn't know what's going on, any of this. He's separate from all of this stuff. He just shows up to figure out what's going on. Hunter Biden doesn't have a clue what's going on. He has no idea. He was just handed this bag by a Ukrainian oligarch tied to Russia, and he just is like, what? I'm holding this bag. What's going on? And then he runs away. So Yanukovych ran away and went to Russia. Then Zolochevsky ran away, went to Morocco. Okay. After that, we have this part. Through 2015 and early 2016, domestic and international pressure, including from the Monetary Fund, the EU, and whatever, built for Shokin to be removed from office. The Obama administration withheld $1 billion in loan guarantees to pressure the Ukrainian government to remove Shokin from office. So this dude Shokin right here, that's Shokin. He's a dirty prosecutor, right? He was working for Yanukovych, and he was protecting Zolochevsky. This guy Shokin was protecting Zolochevsky from this fraud office from the UK. So Obama, through Joe Biden, was like, look, dude, if you don't get rid of this dirty prosecutor who's protecting Burisma, then we're not going to give you money. Then you're a corrupt country and we can't give you money. So Poroshenko, who was the new president after this guy fled, he said, okay, I'll boot this guy. Please give us the money. Okay. Let's see. That's not important. Let's see. During a closed-door testimony to Congress, Kent testified that Giuliani requested a visa in January 2019 for former Ukrainian Prosecutor General Viktor Shokin to travel to the United States, but the State Department ultimately denied the request. So this dirty prosecutor was ousted by the Obama administration in 2017. But in 2019, Donald Trump tried to get him to come back into the United States, but the State Department wouldn't let him because he's a bad guy. So Donald, and then up here, So you see, there's no connection between Burisma, between Zlochevsky and Hunter Biden. But the Republicans want to help Burisma and Russia to paint Hunter Biden as the fall guy. He's the guy just holding the bag. So Poroshenko loses to Zelensky. And then when Zelensky becomes president, that's when Donald Trump tries to extort Zelensky into giving up to Russia. So here, this is another picture that might help you make sense. So Putin installed Viktor Yanukovych as a corrupt guy who installed Viktor Shokin to protect Nikola Zlochevsky from UK prosecution. Right as the heat gets turned on Zlochevsky, he hands the bag to Hunter Biden and then runs away and flees the country. So UK is trying to investigate Burisma, but this prosecutor, Viktor Shokin, is blocking it because he's corrupt. He stops the UK from investigating Burisma. So Joe Biden says, if you don't get rid of Viktor Shokin, we're not going to give you $1 billion.
Convincing us that we should be providing for loan guarantees. And I went over, I guess, the 12th, 13th time to Kyiv, and I was supposed to announce that there was another $1 billion loan guarantee. And I had gotten a commitment from Poroshenko and from Yatsenyuk that they would take action against the state prosecutor, and they didn't. So they said they were walking out to press conference. I said, no, I said, we're not going to give you the $1 billion. They said, you have no authority. You're not the president. The president said. I said, call him. I said, I'm telling you, you're not getting the $1 billion. I said, you're not getting the $1 billion. I'm going to be leaving here. And I think it was, 6 hours? I looked, I said, I'm leaving in 6 hours. If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money. Well, son of a bitch. Got fired. And they put in place someone who was solid.
That's what that's about. Shokin protected Zlochevsky from investigation by the UK. So that's just all. That's just to get caught up on Hunter Biden. Oh shit, I'm gonna die here. Okay.
Now, what is the allegation that we are hearing from our Republican colleagues about the connection to Joe Biden and Burisma? It is an email from a Burisma employee thanking Hunter Biden for organizing a meeting with the Vice President Biden. We know nothing about the substance of that meeting. We know nothing about how long they met. It was not on Vice President Biden's schedule. And in fact, I would ask my Republican colleagues, do you meet with foreign businessmen? Do you meet with foreign diplomats? If we were to say to you every single time you met with somebody that you discussed something that you're voting on, how would you react? It's preposterous. And Chairman Comer, you have said in your opening statement that Joe Biden lied to the American people. That is a bold, bold accusation. And so far, we've seen no actual evidence of any lies or any support for Joe Biden being involved in anything having to do with Ukraine other than promoting U.S. foreign policy. And I hope that you are not abusing the power as chairman of this committee, and that you are not wasting taxpayer dollars on a fishing expedition into a civilian child of a president for political purposes. I yield back.
Yep, that's what it is. That's what they're doing.
So what is the so-called authentication for this laptop? Well, Chairman Comer said in his opening statement that it's a subpoena to the computer repair shop owner, which happened over about a year before the New York Post story. But that is not the same hard drive that Rudy Giuliani received months later from that repair shop owner and passed along to the New York Post after he was in possession of it for several months. Now, Mr. Baker, based on your understanding of Russian malign influence campaigns, does Russian intelligence have the capacity to manipulate a hard drive?
Yes.
So it is possible that some of the materials on a hard drive could be authentic, and some could be altered, manipulated, or even added to the hard drive. Is that right?
I believe so, yes.
Mr. Roth, you have testified today that Twitter was keenly aware of the hacking efforts by Russia in connection with the 2016 election. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
And those efforts, I believe you said, and correct me if I'm wrong, by Russian intelligence to interfere in our electoral process continued up and through and including the 2020 election. Is that right?
Russian efforts certainly continued through the 2020 election and even through the midterms. I couldn't say specifically if it was military intelligence, as was the case in 2016, but certainly the Russian government was involved.
So let's run down what Twitter knew about this hard drive and this story when it was published. First, the sole source of the hard drive was Rudy Giuliani, who had been working closely with Russian intelligence agents throughout 2020. Second, Russian intelligence interfered in the 2016 election and was actively trying to do it again. And third, numerous journalists, including at the New York Post and Fox News, raised suspicions about the hard drive, and they refused to allow an independent analysis and verification of it.
In other words, the whole thing's made up. The whole thing, like, Rudy Giuliani had the possession of the hard drive for months. The computer repair shop guy had that hard drive for months. And then after they did it, they wouldn't let anyone verify it. They wouldn't let anyone check it out. They just said, take our word for it. So the Hunter Biden story is a fake story, but it's being pushed by Republicans because they need insinuation. This to take, because that's what they used against Hillary Clinton. Let's see. Watch.
So the FBI didn't tell you that it was fake, didn't tell you that it was hacked. And Mr. Roth, did the story violate your policies?
In my judgment at the time, no, it did not.
Yeah, that's what you said. Said what I would propose, is you said it isn't clearly a violation of our hack materials policy, nor is it clearly a violation of anything else. So I think what a lot of people are wondering is if it didn't violate your policies and they didn't tell you it was fake, didn't tell you it was hacked, why'd you take it down?
The company made a decision that found.
Remember, Jim Jordan is a Nazi with the Republicans. So he doesn't actually care about the truth. He wants to know why Twitter took down the disinformation story, because that story was going to be used against the Democrats. Just, because that's all they have. They don't have actual proof. All they have is insinuation. You listen to Jim Jordan. He doesn't actually say anything. He just insinuates. All he does is insinuates. He doesn't have any proof for anything. Just insinuation.
That it did violate the policy. It wasn't my personal judgment at the time that it did, but the decision was communicated to me by my direct supervisor, and ultimately I didn't disagree with it enough to object to
You know what I think happened, Mr. Roth? I think you guys got played.
See, that's the thing. Who cares what you fucking think, Jim Jordan? I don't fucking care what you think. What proof do you have of anything? What proof? Don't fucking tell me what you think. Show me the proof. Oh, you don't have any proof? All you have are stories? You have opinions? You're gonna tell me what you think? That's all you have? Fuck you, Jim Jordan. Fuck you.
I think you guys wanted to take it deep down. We saw what the chairman put up where you said,
You know, no, see, that's the thing. You can think, you can imagine whatever motivations you want. Do you have evidence? Do you have proof? No. All you have are insinuations. That's all you can do is character assassinations. You talk shit about people, you lie about people, and then hope others will just accept your insinuation as truth.
Everyone in the White House is a fascist. I think you guys wanted it to be taken down.
I think
you meet with these guys every week.
I think. See, that's the thing. He doesn't have proof. All he does is he just insinuates. He just paints the circumstances and then insinuates something, hoping that you'll buy his insinuation. You're like, oh yeah, something bad must be happening because look at all this insinuation he's doing.
You know that's been established in the Twitter files. You had weekly meetings with Mr. Chan in the run-up to the election. They send you all kinds of emails. They send you documents on the super secret James Bond telephone.
No, they don't. They haven't done any of this. He has no proof of any of this. He's just talking shit. But since Fox News is only going to play this clip, if you're a conservative that only gets your information from Fox News, you're not going to know that the whole thing is bullshit. You're just going to hear Jim Jordan talking and insinuating all this nonsense and then buy his insinuation.
Porter, you get information on that. I think you guys wanted to take it.
I think. That's all he does is says, I think. He doesn't have proof of anything. All he can do is paint a bad narrative and say, I think this is true. I think that you're bad people. That's all he can do. That's all he can say. He doesn't have proof. All he can say is, I think. Conservatives use a lot of weasel words. I think, potentially. Like,
down. I think you guys got played by the FBI.
I think you guys got, that's all he has. He doesn't have any proof. He just says, I think.
FBI.
And we know Jim Jordan has a real bad brain. He doesn't think at all. He's a dumbass. Why would we care what he thinks? He's a dumbass.
And that's the scary part. Because we had 50, this to me is the...
Why is it scary? What's scary about your insinuations? You're just insinuating stuff. Why should we be scared about stuff that's in your brain? I think he's the one. He scares himself. Conservatives do that a lot. They will make up shit and then become terrified of the shit they make up, which is the entirety of right-wing media. It's they make up shit and then they become terrified of the shit they make up. Like he made up this entire narrative of conspiracy stuff. He has no proof. There's no government coordination. There's nothing there. But he says, I think, and I'm terrified of what I think.
Real takeaway. 51 former intelligence officials 5 days after you guys take down the Hunter Biden story and block the New York Post account. 5 days later, 51 former intel officials send a letter and they say, the Hunter Biden story has all the classic earmarks of a Russian information operation.
Yeah. So after Twitter already blocked that story, all these people said, yeah, that looks like a Russian op. That's a classic Russian op. A hard drive mysteriously appears from Rudy Giuliani, who's a Russian asset, who's always working with the Russians. Russian Rudy Giuliani all of a sudden has this magical hard drive he's kept for months and months. He got from who knows where. Like, yeah, we're gonna block that story. It's not real. And Jim Jordan is angry that Twitter blocked the Russian disinformation because Jim Jordan's a traitor.
The information operation was run on you guys.
Yeah, he's trying to run it. Jim Jordan's trying to rewrite everything. It's terrible.
That Twitter discussed potential threats to the integrity of the 2020 elections, and it was, quote, and I'm quoting you again, obvious to think about the most influential thing that impacted the 2016 election, which was the hack and leak campaign organized by the Russian government, and that, quote, we would have been stupid not to think about that risk. Mr. Roth, why would Twitter have been stupid to ignore that risk?
Thank you for the question, Congressman. I think Twitter and the entire social media industry were frankly caught with their pants down in 2016 and missed an opportunity to do the critical work of protecting election security. This isn't my judgment. This is the judgment of academics and researchers who have spent years studying Russian active measures. And most of their conclusions suggest that the #1 most influential part of the Russian active measures campaign in 2016 was the hack and leak targeting John Podesta. It would have been foolish not to consider the possibility that they would run that play again.
Right. And so let me ask, was that top of mind for Twitter? You're trying to measure the credibility of incoming intelligence. Was that top of mind in regard to your decision, the company's decision to temporarily limit the distribution of the October 14th New York Post story that was delivered by Mayor Giuliani?
Yes, that was one of the animating concerns for us. For nearly 2 years, we had engaged in scenario planning exercises for potential risks tied to the elections, and one of them appeared to be happening that day. Now, again, I think the facts were complicated, and I do believe Twitter made a mistake then, but our judgment was colored by the experience of 2016 and by the very real Russian activities that we saw play out that year.
Yep. Twitter took down the fake story because they had gotten played before in 2016, and they didn't want to get played again.
There's been a 66% increase of anti-Semitism on Twitter since Elon Musk set it free. Mr. Chairman, I agree with you. It's not fair to say all conservatives are Nazis. That's preposterous. That's not true. But your Lord and Savior Donald Trump is having tea and dinner with them at Mar-a-Lago. Nick Fuentes right here, who's a picture that is tweeted at me all the time saying Jews are a virus in response to my tweets. Donald Trump's having dinner with him. Nazis at Mar-a-Lago. And so, no, not all Republicans are Nazis, but I got to tell you, Nazis seem really comfortable with Donald Trump. So I have questions about that, Mr. Chairman. Why is that? Why do I get these tweets? Let's talk about Kanye West, right? The chairman of the Judiciary Committee for 3 months praising Kanye West. We love Kanye, right? A Nazi. Clearly now. It took months for that tweet to come down. How come? I mean, these are things I'd love to know. Is it because maybe they're your voters?
Yeah, don't mess.
I mean, they certainly aren't voting for me. I yield back.
Navaroli, let's talk about something real. I'd like to show you a tweet posted by former President Trump about my colleagues and I on July 14, 2019. It says in part, quote, why don't they go back and help fix the totally broken...
You know, at your company or your former company where you worked, Twitter employees, over 98% of them donate to Democrats. So while you coordinated with DHS, the FBI, the CIA, our government, and outside groups to permanently ban, shadow ban conservative Americans and candidates like me and the former president of the United States, President Donald J. Trump, you were censoring and wrongfully violating our First Amendment free speech rights.
What? No, that didn't actually happen. But she's insinuating.
You know, at your company or your former company where you worked, Twitter employees, over 98% of them donate to Democrats. So while you coordinated with DHS, the FBI, the CIA, our government, and outside groups...
So she's lying. She's just saying that, like, she's insinuating. Because Twitter employees donate to Democrats, that means she's trying to insinuate that they do nefarious things for Democrats. Right? But she has no proof. There's no actual proof of it. All she can do is insinuate. She says one thing and then and hopes that you will imagine the rest. Because there's no proof of anything. There's no proof of coordination between Twitter and the government. But she wants you to believe that. She has no proof, but she'll talk like it's real and hope that you buy what she believes. Because a lot of conservative people will just do that. They won't actually pay attention. They just buy it.
That we're going to have an honest, open conversation about issues, about challenges that our country faces. And everybody has their own facts. Congressman from New York is mentioning his facts.
No, see? This guy's a Nazi. This guy's a fascist. You can tell right away because he said, the first thing he said is that there's no such thing as truth. He said right off the bat, the first thing he said is he denied God. What is God? God is what's actually there. Regardless of what you think is there, what you want to be there, like, God is truth. The truth, what's actually there. This guy is telling you that there's no such thing as truth, that everyone has their own facts, their own ideas, that there's no true thing. Nothing is true. There's nothing out there that's true, that everyone can make up their own deal and it's just as valid as everyone else's. That's how come you know this guy's a Nazi, because when you reduce the world to like that, to like absolutely no truth, when you get rid of truth, what is the one thing that remains? Power. And Nazis love to accumulate power because they use their power to enforce their will. If you don't have truth, then there's nothing to stop power. So that's how you know this guy's a Nazi. He repeated it right off the bat. Here, let's rewind it and listen to him again. His name is Mr. Timmons.
That we're going to have an honest, open conversation about issues, about challenges that our country faces. And
Are we going to have an open, honest discussion? So far, conservatives have just been lying and insinuating. They don't have actual proof. They don't have actual anything. All they've been doing is lying and stuff. They have nothing to stand on. Everything they've said has been a lie. So if you want to, so let's start with that. Everything the Republicans have said has been a lie in this hearing. So let's keep going.
Everybody has their own facts.
No, see, that's when he says everybody has their own facts, that's why he can say, oh, my side with no evidence and all insinuation is the same as the Democratic side with all this proof, all this evidence, all this testimony. He wants to say that they're equivalent, that his insinuation is just as good as your facts and proof. Everybody has their own facts. That's not true. There's a truth. There's absolute truth. There's a truth that we can perceive and we can all agree upon. Well, we don't have to agree upon it, but it's there, whether you want to believe it or not. There's a truth. There's what's actually there. Despite whatever you say or believe, it's actually there. It's this guy wants you to believe that there's no such thing as truth, but he's wrong. And that's how come you know he's a Nazi. So everything that comes after what he says, you have to understand he doesn't believe in truth, only power. He's a white supremacist.
Congressman from New York is mentioning his facts.
The facts, mentioning facts. And Republicans have no facts, so they have nothing.
It's just very bizarre that Hunter Biden making tens of thousands of dollars a month with no credentials from a business in Ukraine.
Why is it bizarre, dude? That's insinuation. Say he's trying to insinuate. He's insinuating something must be going on because it's bizarre. But it's not bizarre. We explained everything. Everything's been explained. Right? The only reason why it would be bizarre is if you're trying to push a conspiracy theory that's Russian disinformation. He's trying to push the Russian disinformation on the Hunter Biden story in order to, because he has no proof. So all he can do is insinuate. It's bizarre. I think it's bizarre, but no proof. So that's all he has. Democrats came up with all proof and explanations and testimony. Republicans have nothing. Nothing. All they have is insinuation because they're Nazis.
Whether they're being investigated, who knows? I mean, these are all...
Who knows? What do you mean, who knows? Of course we know. There's a fucking...
speculation, and it's something the American people can't really digest because we don't know the answers to it.
Yes, we do, motherfucker. You're trying to muddy the waters. See, this guy, this whole hearing establishes that Twitter and the government don't have any kind of special relationship. The government doesn't come on down to Twitter and tell them what they can and cannot post. In fact, the only government official to come down and tell Twitter what they can and cannot post was Donald Trump when he called the White House to tell them to take down a tweet critical of Donald Trump. That's the only thing. But this guy is muddying the waters. He wants you to think that everybody has their own facts, that those facts are not actual real facts because, I don't know, because he doesn't like them. So if he doesn't like them, he calls them fake news. Because he's a fucking Nazi. So So he wants you to believe that there's no such thing as truth. And if he can make you believe that there's no such thing as truth, that his insinuations all of a sudden have legs, because there's no such thing as truth. So anything you insinuate can be true. And that gives him power.
And when we're told the answers by our government, by big corporations, by big tech, and they're repeatedly wrong.
But they're not wrong, dude. Fucking, if there's wrong, point it out. Can you point one out? Can you do it? No, you can't. The Hunter Biden story was totally fake. The whole thing was fake. You had a whole hearing in order to prove your point, but you have none. So what you're doing is lying and you're insinuating. You have nothing. All you can do is insinuate and lie. Look at him. Look at him. He's saying there's no such thing as truth. All my insinuations are therefore believable because there's no such thing as truth. And all the proof that you've shown me, I'm gonna just hand wave away and say I don't believe it. Fake news it. That's it. That's what, and because the only thing he cares about is power, this will work if he has more power than everyone else. That's why Nazis want to get more power, so that whatever they say goes, regardless.
It creates a trust issue. So
no, there's no trust issue. You're trying to create a trust issue. You're trying to make one up by insinuating bullshit with no facts. You're trying to create a trust issue. Republicans are Nazis. You can see it right here. The guy, his entire speech, this entire speech is a perfect example of what it means to be a Nazi. You don't believe in truth. You only believe in power. And that you will hand wave away any inconvenient facts. That's what he just did.
The American people do not trust what they're being told.
No. Conservatives do not trust what they're being told because there's this entire media apparatus called Fox News that lies to them over and over and over them and gives them nothing but insinuations to corrupt their minds. That's what's going on. But this guy can't admit to it because he's a Nazi.
They do not trust what they're being told.
Yeah, fuck off. Piece of shit. So yeah, they do not trust what they're being told. So do you remember the activist murdered by the police in Atlanta? His name was Tortuguita. So cops in Atlanta want to bulldoze a forest, and in its place, they want to create a replica of Atlanta, downtown Atlanta, so they could use it to train in urban warfare combat. The police? Training in urban warfare combat? What the fuck is going on? The police aren't supposed to do any kind of execution. They're not supposed to kill anybody. I don't care who you are. The police aren't supposed to kill people. What are they doing practicing like military tactics? Like, that's crazy. So, of course, activists are showing up to stop the police from wasting all this money and destroying nature to create more violence. And what do the police do? They come in and they fucking shoot some guy. They murder a guy named Tortuguita. And then the cops lie about it. Because, yeah, Americans shouldn't believe the cops because the cops lie about it. Here, let's listen. The cops want to say that Tortuguita shot them first, but there's no gun there, and he's a peace activist. Why would he have a gun against a mob of police officers converging on his position? That's crazy talk. More likely, one of the cops got antsy, shot some rounds, and other cops heard the shots being fired, so they shot guns too. And the one guy who didn't have a gun, Tortuguita, got fucking murdered. That's what they do. That's what the police do. They just murder people they find inconvenient. Now watch. You will listen. You can listen to what happened here. I'm going to full screen it. And we're going to listen to all what happened. This is from another angle. This isn't the actual shooting. This is another group.
Sir, quick question. Can you get the fuck out? Please?
One, two, three, four. Back up a little bit. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh, shit.
Pause. 1, 2, 3, 4. Pause. Right now, all the other cops are like, "What the fuck's going on? We should shoot too."
Is this target practice?
Is this target practice? Medic! The cops shot themselves. They fucking shot themselves. The cops shot themselves. That's why you hear them yell out, "Medic!" Watch, listen. You're gonna hit out in the distance. Medic! Right there, medic! Oh, I'm starving to death. Dude, I'm not moving. Why would I starve to death? I'm not even moving. I thought if you're not moving, you don't lose hunger.
Yeah.
Watch him take out his gun for no reason. Ah, he just unholsters his gun for no reason.
Where?
So for a bunch of people sitting in trees, they send the fucking army.
Hey, watch crossfire, guys. Crossfire, watch your crossfire. Stay online. Stay online.
For a bunch of activists sitting in trees, they sent like an army.
Fan out right. Two in front of me. Two in front of me.
I'm going on. I'm over here with you. Where's the other tank?
See the two of them across there?
Okay.
No, that sounded like suppressed gunfire. Yeah.
You fucked your own officer up.
You fucked your own officer up. You fucked your own officer up. Police shot themselves. The guy didn't have anything. Tortuga didn't have anything. No weapon. The police shot themselves. They murdered some guy because he was squatting in trees they wanted to knock over to build a combat zone. But listen, it was the police that shot themselves. He didn't do it. It was the police that shot themselves.
You fucked your own officer up.
You fucked your own officer up. So yeah, when the police tell you something, that's government you shouldn't believe. Because the police lied and said Tortuga like shot them first. But that's not true. They shot themselves. The police shot themselves. All right, what else do we got here? Okay. So, yeah, we're facing white supremacy in the United States. It has never been dealt with. We never took care of the situation. Let me show you. Okay, so back in the day, during Jim Crow, technically black Americans had the right to vote, but white supremacy, doesn't want them to vote because the vote is power, and the vote and white supremacy doesn't want black Americans to have power. So during Jim Crow, white Americans, the white power structure, created a way to block black people from voting by making them take a literacy test. This test is a test that you cannot pass if you're black. Not because you're not smart, not because you're stupid, but because the test is designed to be ambiguous, so that all the power rests with the person who grades the test. They're the one who determines if the answer is right or wrong, because the answer is ambiguous. That way they can stop. Oh shit. Okay. I put this here so I wouldn't get hurt. They created the system to stop black people from voting. So let me give you an example of it. State of Louisiana literacy test. This test is to be given to anyone who cannot prove a 5th grade education. How do you prove a 5th grade education? Like back in the day, like they can say anyone they want to doesn't have a 5th grade education, and it stop you from voting. Like it was dumb. So I make you do this test, and this test is designed for you to fail if they don't like you, if the test person doesn't like you. So let's read it. Do what you are told to do in each statement. Nothing more, nothing less. Be careful, as one wrong answer denotes failure of the test. You have 10 minutes to complete the test. 10 minutes to complete this test. Any wrong answer stops you from being able to vote. So let's look at the first question. Number 1. Draw a line around the number or letter of this sentence. What? Draw a line around, you mean a circle? Draw a line? You mean a circle? Draw a circle? Like, you can draw a circle around, like draw a line around the 1. That's the number. But then it says or letter. So any of these, like if you draw a circle around the 1, they'll say, oh, that's wrong. We said draw a line and you drew a circle. You're wrong. You can't vote. Oh, you drew a line around the 1, but it said the letter of this sentence, and you didn't draw around the letter, just the number. Oh, you failed. Like, do you see what I mean? There's so many ways to fail this. Number 2, draw a line under. See, you see the difference? It's not a mistake. They did that on purpose. They did this on purpose to give themselves a way to make you fail on the very first question. Draw a line around and draw a line under. You see how they can trick you? Okay, draw a line under the last word in this line. Okay, do you draw a line under the last word? So draw a line under the last word. All right, so the last word. Is that what you mean? Or do you mean line? Either way, you can get it wrong. It just depends on what the vote tester says. Cross out the longest word in this line. So you would cross out longest, right? But then you might be wrong, because you're supposed to cross out the longest word. You fail. You failed. You can't vote. Draw a line around, under, around. You see what I mean? Draw a line around the shortest word in this line. Well, A, is that a word? Or is that just a letter? And then if you just draw a line or a circle, like it doesn't, there's so many ways to trick you. Circle the first letter of the alphabet in this line. What? The first letter of the first letter of the alphabet. So the first letter of the alphabet is A. The first letter. So that would be, where's the A? Is that one right there, right? Well, they could lie and say, no, we wanted you the first letter, which is right here. You see, like they can trick you in so many different ways. In this one here, in the last space below, draw 3 circles, one inside, engulfed by the other 3. Like what? So many ways to trick you so you fail. Draw a line under the first letter after H, and draw a line through the second letter after J. Do you mean right here, or do you mean up here? Draw a line under the first letter after H. So here's an H right there, right? So this one here, T. Is that what you mean? Or did you mean from over here on this thing? So many ways you can fail. It's ambiguous on purpose so that you fail if they don't like you. In the space below, write the word noise backwards and place a dot over what would be its second letter should it had been written forward. You have 10 minutes to do this without any mistakes. Any mistakes and you can't vote. Draw a triangle with a blackened circle that overlaps only its left corner. Look at so you draw a triangle and you make a dot on the left corner. I don't know. Look at the number of numbers. Look at the line of numbers below and place on the blank the number that should come next. 2, 4, 8, 16. Well, 2. So if you double it, that's pretty tough, dude. Like, who knows? It could be anything. 2 doubled is 4. 4 doubled is 8. 8 doubled is 16. 16 doubled is 32. 32 doubled is 64. I don't know if they would do it. If that would work. Look at the line of numbers below and place on the blank. But what does that have to do with literacy and the ability to vote? Like nothing. It's just there to trick you, to stop you from voting. Draw in the space below a square with a triangle in it, and within that same triangle, draw a circle with a black dot in it. Like you don't have very much space below to do this in. Spell backwards, forwards. You mean just backwards? Print the word vote upside down, but in the correct order. So write vote, but upside down. Like, it's just crazy. Like, what does this have to do with literacy? Place a cross over the 10th letter in this line. A line under the first space in the sentence, and a circle around the last. Place a cross over the 10th letter in this line. A line under the first space in the sentence, and a circle around the last in the second line of this sentence. What? It's broken, dude. You cannot win. You can't win. Draw a figure that is square in shape. Divide it in half by drawing a straight line from its northeast corner to its southwestern corner. Then divide it once more by drawing a broken line from the middle of its western side to the middle of its eastern side. What does that have to do with the ability to vote? Nothing. But it will stop you from voting if you're black, because white supremacists don't want you to vote. Oh shit, run away, run away. I'm losing hunger and I'm not even moving, dude. That's weird. I thought if you don't move, you don't lose hunger. Yeah, because that stops me from AFKing if I lose hunger from not moving. All right. Print a word that looks the same whether it is printed frontwards or backwards. It's like radar. But radar wouldn't work because if you turned radar backwards, it'd be not it. Yeah. Okay. Write down on the line provided what you read in the triangle below. Paris in the spring. If you write like that in a line, they'll say it's wrong. If you write it this way, the way it's in the thing, they'll say it's wrong. You didn't write it on the line. Like, you can't win. You cannot win. In the third square below, write the second letter of the fourth word. In the third square, write the second letter of the fourth word. 1, 2, 3, 4. Second letter is that one. So Q, but I don't know if that'd be right. Write right from the left to the right as you see it spelled here. So just like what? Divide a vertical line in 2 equal parts by bisecting it with a curved horizontal line that is only straight at its spot bisection of the vertical. Oh! You have 10 minutes to do this whole test. You're going to fail, dude, and you can't vote. And that was the point. Because white supremacy is systemic. It's not any one person. It's a system designed to keep you from voting. Literacy test 4. See, they've done something similar in Florida with Ron DeSantis. Ron DeSantis banned books in Florida. So the group representing supervisors of public school libraries is asking DeSantis administration to confirm in writing that Don't Say Gay and Stop Woke laws don't apply to libraries. They haven't, prompting fears that libraries are afoul of the law. That's the whole point, is to be ambiguous. That's terrorism. You don't know if you're breaking the law or not, so you're afraid to do it because you don't know. That's the whole point. Fascists want you to be afraid so that you don't even try it. So they purposely leave things ambiguous so that you don't know. You can't know. So Judge Legum says, this is a key issue. The text of Don't Say Gay and Stop Woke is clear. The laws apply to the classroom instruction, not library books. But the DeSantis admin is intentionally keeping things ambiguous. Meanwhile, school districts are removing books based on these laws. Remember, Ron DeSantis arrested a bunch of people for voting because of ambiguous laws regarding like late fees to the state. Oh shit. Ow. 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 He does that, and it's not clear whether or not you paid your fees or whatever. It's not clear, so you can't know. So if you vote, they may or may not come after you. That's scary. So to make sure they don't come after you, you don't vote. And that's what white supremacy wants. It wants you to not vote. And they keep the law ambiguous on purpose, because that way the power resides in the state and not the individual. And that's what fascists want. They want to concentrate power. All right, there's that one. So in April 24th, 1851, this is telling this flyer warns black Americans about the police, because the police are not there to serve you. They're kidnappers and slave catchers. That's the nature of the police. And they knew that back in April 24, 1851. Have the police changed? They're still slave catchers and kidnappers. And now they murder people. This one. Oh, I did that one. This one. Oh yeah, this is a reminder of what happened with the Mueller investigation. So we got convictions on Michael Cohen, Paul Manafort, George Papadopoulos, Richard Pinedo, Alex Vanderzwan, Roger Stone, and Rick Gates. Michael Flynn is awaiting sentencing for being a traitor. There's 13, these were indicted, 13 Russian nationals, 12 Russian military officers, and this guy, Konstantin Klimnik. But we can't get them because they're all in Russia. But they broke American law. Donald Trump pardoned all these people. He used the power of the presidency to pardon, well, not all these people. He didn't pardon Michael Cohen, but he pardoned Paul Manafort, Roger Stone, and all the people. He pardoned them because, you know, they helped him steal the presidency. He overthrew the 2016 election. Okay, there's a train derailment in Ohio, and it made a cloud of hydrochloric acid. This is not Photoshop. This is an actual picture of chemicals that will kill you if you ingest them. And it's going to be a massive, massive environmental disaster for years on end because of this. And it happened because the rail companies lobbied against regulations that required them to put better brakes on their rail cars. And without the better brakes, we have train disasters. That tells you that companies do not have your best interests in mind, and they should not have so much power in government to take away regulation. Regulation is good. Regulation helps keep people safe and healthy. Corporations don't like regulations because it costs them money, but regulations are important. Look at Germany. Germany has tons of regulations, and their companies are still profitable. Capitalism is alive and well in Germany, and they have a shit ton of regulations. So regulations doesn't stop capitalism from working. It just keeps people safe. The only people who want regulations to go away are corporations, so they can make more money. Literacy test. All right, I don't have enough energy to talk about mass. I've been going for 2 hours. I have this whole thing. I should do it. So mass. What is mass? Mass is energy. It's just a fluctuation in the quantum field. So this energy fluctuating in the quantum field, that's your mass. So mass is energy at rest. But we say kinetic energy is energy from movement. How can something moving have mass if mass is energy at rest and kinetic energy is energy in movement? Well, we resolve that conflict by saying mass is energy confined to an arbitrary system. There's no actual, we look at a particle, but there's no actual boundaries to the particle. It's not a nice little ball of sphere. It's not there. That's not a real way of looking at it. Oh wait, you didn't see that. You know, we say that this is a conflict, but it's not real. Mass is energy confined to an arbitrary system. So we have like these quarks, right? And they're floating around in a gluon field. And the gluon field is it's got like equilibrium. It doesn't want to leave this equilibrium. But the quarks are they're not real things. They're just fluctuations of energy. But these guys have a relationship to each other. And because there's a relationship to each other, they're bound to each other. They can't fly away from each other. And inside their space is a vacuum, a gluon field vacuum, where the field doesn't fluctuate. It's stable. So these guys are held together, and within they have a range of movement they can move in, these fluctuations. And they don't move beyond that. So it's an arbitrary system of energy. And that matters how you look at it because that changes its frame of reference. So remember, all around these particles, there's a field of a gluon fluctuation field where it's just like fluctuating. But because these three particles have are connected, they create stability where it's not fluctuating. It's stable. There's no fluctuation there. I got this from But Why, and it's what do you mean mass is energy? So all these particles are just waves, fluctuations in the field, and depending on how big their fluctuation is, tells you how much mass their particle has. I don't know. I tried to make sense of it, and the biggest thing that can make sense is that there are no boundaries. The boundaries are arbitrary. So on the macro level, we're looking at everything seems to have a boundary, but it's not actually there. It's just held together by relationships. I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to say. Anyways, I hope I just demonstrated for you this episode that Republicans are using insinuation because they don't have actual proof. They're using insinuation and misinformation to confuse Americans about what's going on. And they're hiding the fact that they can't actually govern and that they use government instead to attack their enemies, just like Donald Trump did, because they're all fascists. So the Proud Boy trial is still going on, and a lot of bad stuff is coming out showing how the Proud Boys are the military arm of Donald Trump and the Republicans who tried to overthrow the government and maintain white supremacy. Because Donald Trump and the Republicans ultimately serve white supremacy. And as Americans, it's our duty to resist white supremacy and to create conditions conducive to multiracial democracy for a more perfect union. So, oh, look at, see, it's sunset, so you can see the shadows creeping across. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed my presentation. I hope the sound came through very nice. I hope it was a bunch of work to get this to look good. So, okay, America. Until next week, Pogo Kiddo out. Peace.